Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Skinny Dip podcast. Hello, and happy Wednesday, or Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whenever you're listening. Hello, and welcome back.
Are you done now?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Oh, that was so good. Hey, that was really.
Thank you. Welcome to the class.
I've actually gotten a little nervous to speak in the beginning now because Renee is. I don't want to say dedicated intro, but I do think you have a very calming voice to start our episodes. And now I get like nervous because I feel like you always put on a great first bang, and then I'm like, "Hey, welcome back to the podcast."
Well, do you ever like watch? It reminds me of YouTubers or like they're like welcome back, like, and they're like so intense about it.
I've seen some people do that, yeah.
Like make like names for their people, like welcome back, something something, like blank fam. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, it's so cringe.
We don't even have a fam. What do we call we're just our people. We're just our gang. I don't know. We don't have a name.
Welcome to the to the group.
Welcome in. I don't know. Welcome in. Hi, welcome in. So I have a really random personal question, and I really should not be treating the podcast as my time to disclose some of my unattractive secrets, but I'm going to.
You can do it. This is your safe space. This is whatever you want it to be. So
and this is a question for you because I don't know if now what I do is weird or not. Do you put on deodorant before you go to bed?
Sometimes.
Okay. I never do, ever.
Mhm.
Like, I never do. And then I saw Abigail do it one night, and then a TikTok popped up about like a girl getting ready to go to bed, and she did it. So like, am I supposed to be doing that? Why do you do it sometimes? Do you feel like you wake up smelling?
Well, I think I just now this is gonna be me exposing myself,
It's
but
fine.
I just
It's a safe place. Welcome in.
I think the amount of activity I've been involved in,
Oh,
as
okay.
far as, sweating, like I've been sweating like crazy. I just notice sometimes that I'm like, wow, I could smell a lot better, you know?
Huh.
So I
Even after you shower and you go to bed?
Yesterday,
Oh.
I showered after my run. Okay, my run from hell. And I showered, like, I did a full shower. I mean, I was tired, I was struggling, so I maybe didn't do as good as I could have. And then I basically got into pajamas, took a nap, and then got back up and was just, like, hanging out, had a snack, whatever. And I was like, I'm gonna take a bath because that always feels good for me, for my, like, body, my muscles and stuff. And when I was getting into the bath, I got a whiff.
Oh, no.
Of my underarms, and I was like, "What?"
Smelled like garbage day?
It smelled so I was like, "Wow, I took a shower." So I think it's just, and because I use, like, a natural deodorant, it has to be applied, like, multiple times. Like, I keep a little mini one in my purse, because I just notice it's, like, one of those ones that needs to be reapplied. So, I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't think it's something that you have to do. I just notice it sometimes where I'm like, "Oh, I need a little extra."
I don't ever think I smell myself, and I don't know if that's just me living in my Lulu land or if that's actually true. I've never put on deodorant before I go to bed, but now I feel like I should because
No, you don't have to.
everyone else is.
Stop.
And
It's fine.
okay, I know I always preach like don't be a sheep, but I want to be a sheep. I think in this instance, I think I want to follow the people.
If you want to do it, I mean, it's not like it's that crazy to like add in that quick extra step. I just do it just so I'm like, I don't want to. Also, because I sleep with another human, so I don't really.
But even when I was in a relationship, I don't think I did either. Which now I'm kind of like, I wonder if that was like the downfall of Rome. But I don't know. Can you imagine?
I would hope that if it was somebody like, I mean, Alex will tell me if I don't smell good. He's like, ooh.
Yeah, no one's ever told me that. So I don't know. Maybe it's something
I just smell great.
I mean, I don't know if I'd go that far, but I was just curious. I don't know if like that was a norm, if I should be doing that, if that's I don't know. I just had to ask because I thought I was off, but maybe I'm just where I need to be. I don't know.
Do whatever is going to make you happy.
Thank you. That's so beautiful. I'm giving my recommendation this week because I just am. I'm just jumping in. I am recommending. So if you guys don't know, I love caffeine ho. I probably need to cut back. I don't care. I drink Alani new energy drinks and Alani new pre-workout. And so if you're in the market for trying something new, I would definitely recommend. Me and my sisters have used their products for so many years and they're so good. There's so many flavors. I also just really love the people behind the brand. I follow them on Instagram and I low-key think I have a crush on them as a married couple and their family. So
Oh, that's sweet. I like when that happens.
yeah, I don't know. They just give really good energy. So for speaking of energy drink. So for me, I'm like, okay, I just love them. But yeah, if anyone's in the market for, that little pick me up before you go to the gym, before Renee does her 8 miles or 15 miles, which we're not going to talk about because this whole episode will be becoming a running thing, but little swag. Little swag. It's my
Maybe
recommendation.
I should. I'd see
I'm
the thing
scared
is,
for you.
I used to be a pre-workout energy drink person, and I've like kind of stopped it cold turkey. But maybe I need to bring it back. Maybe I
Well,
should
you're a
bring it
little
back.
bit more sensitive, I think, to caffeine than
So
me,
sensitive.
where I just think ornately it's somehow integrated into my bones, like maybe through my DNA or something.
Yeah, no,
But
I will go into like I'll have like 5 mental breakdowns and then like be doing laps around my house.
yeah,
Just
no.
like
Or me, I'm just like casually sipping on one, and then when I go to bed, I'm like, nighty night, everyone. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, that's how Alex is. I can't do that. I'm
I don't know what
so
that is.
I get like crazy. I don't know. Aaron does too. So maybe it's something with
Maybe
our
it is like genetics.
I don't know, but my
That's
mom and my dad are definitely they're the type of people like as soon as they wake up, coffee pot is on. They're like having their first they'll have their
Folgers.
yeah, they like Folgers and it's like a black coffee.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Interesting.
Just right when they wake up. I'm like, you guys are something
So
else.
interesting. It's actually funny. It's completely unrandom, and then tell us your product. But thinking about it, my grandparents when my grandfather was still alive, my poppy, they had 2 coffee makers, one for each of them, which is like kind of interesting because like why didn't they share?
Well,
I
do they
think they
have
just
maybe a specific coffee they liked or something?
maybe I don't know. There's 2. Like one's a
Mm.
big pot and one's a small one. I think
I
it's actually
kinda
still there.
I kind of love that like both because well actually my mom recently got an espresso but they both are like coffee pot people like
Mm.
my dad I think has it or my mom like somebody I know they have it like scheduled
Oh,
where
I
you'll
love
like
that.
you'll hear it in the morning like
Yeah.
start going and I'm like oh it's just like so nostalgic to me like
I was just about to say
yeah
that. I feel like it's very nostalgic having like a coffee pot.
yeah because anytime I would like get up in my house like at my house like where I grew up there would always right when I woke up like coffee was just like making that noise and like
And then you just
steaming
smelled it and you were like, oh,
yeah
this is just it. This is giving.
yeah.
Anyways, tell me your product for
So I
this
guess
week.
so mine's also a drink. It's a show and tell.
Okay.
I've been showing and telling
Oh,
moment.
I wish I
I
brought
feel
a show and
like
tell.
I feel like I've talked about this before, but it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Different vibe than yours, but this is Magnesium Calm.
Okay.
I get this from Whole Foods and it's the anti-stress drink mix.
Mm-hmm.
It's so as soon as I take like I'll have it at night, not every night because you have to be careful about your magnesium intake. I didn't
Yeah.
realize this, but you can have like magnesium toxicity. So be careful because I take a magnesium supplement and then sometimes I take Epsom salt baths, which is magnesium. And then there was also a drink that I was drinking that had magnesium in it. It's like a type of seltzer water that's like a mineral water. And then I would have this. So I think I would be like close to maximum. So you just want to make sure,
Whoa.
you're you're not
I don't even think I get that much in a month. I'm not even kidding you.
okay, well magnesium, I think again, I'm no doctor, but
Mm-hmm.
from what I've heard is that most people are deficient in magnesium. So if you're
Hmm.
struggling with I think sometimes if you feel a little extra anxious or if your body is like kind of sore or tiredness, magnesium helps with it. So I really I really 10 out of 10 recommend any type of magnesium
Mm-hmm.
supplement.
I'm looking it up right now.
Magnesium toxicity or
No, just
deficiency.
magnesium, period. Just
Yeah,
that's it.
so at night I'll make my little fun mocktail and I'll have a scoop of this. Sometimes I'll put a seltzer water in it just to make it extra fizzy, or I'll just do regular water and I just sip it while I'm in the bath. And it just really
Sorry.
helps me calm down. And I'm not kidding you. A hot bath with this,
Mm-hmm.
those two together, if you want to just sleep like a rock, That's the magic sauce, my friends.
It's fantastic.
So you can get her off of Amazon. I get it at Whole Foods. I think it's about $30, so it's not the cheapest thing in the world, but it lasts you a while because you only need 1 teaspoon,
Yeah.
and it's a decent amount. So
Respectfully, what is cheap nowadays? Just call it for what it
nothing,
is, right?
nothing,
So
nothing.
$30 is like the new $5.
Seriously.
It's very unfortunate. I mean, I literally cannot. I just feel like anytime I go out, it's money gone in the air. Poof.
No, I know it's crazy.
See you later. All right. Well, I'll definitely try that out. I mean, maybe not. I don't want to say I'll definitely try it out because I
No,
don't
you
know
won't.
if I won't. I also have. I think I mentioned this on the pod before, but I have this weird tendency to accidentally overdose on vitamins. So I really don't try to branch out with
No, I
a lot of
understand.
things. I don't know what that is about me. I just don't think I'm not to put myself down. I just don't think I'm smart enough to like understand how much my body needs. So whatever, that's a big problem. Are we ready to talk about our topic today?
Oh,
You didn't like that? Wasn't for you?
sound like you were talking to a dog.
Oh God, sometimes okay, this is so random, but sometimes I do think, when you get in your dog's face and you're like, I love you so much. Blah, blah, blah. I try to envision it from their angle, and all they see is just this, I mean, in my case, my round face in his face. And he's probably like, get away from me. And I'm like,
I
I love you. I love
know.
you. I love you.
I know. I could just like eat them.
Of every
I
day.
just like want to just like squeeze it. It's like that. It's cuteness aggression.
Yeah. It's just like,
Yeah.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Just a
Yeah.
little platter for you.
Yeah.
We are diving in to all things fashion industry secrets this week. I'm nervy.
Yeah.
If you don't know, and this is your first episode, Renee and I work in
Stay with us.
don't leave us. Hold my hand.
We're psychotic.
Yeah, I know. Let me just
If you're new, stay.
let me get you like that leash that you put on kids. Like, you're not going anywhere. Renee and I work in the retail fashion industry, corporate level. So I think, and I don't know if you've experienced this, but a lot of times when I tell people where I work or we work, there's so many questions. And I feel like there's a little taboo around the fashion industry. So we're disclosing secrets this episode. And if you're interested in getting into it, welcome.
Yeah, or you're just interested in
period. Yeah.
Maybe it's you're like, yeah, that's definitely not going to be for me. That's also good too.
Sometimes it's not for me either. So I get that. I really respectfully I understand. But it's interesting because Renee and I both started off or got into this industry completely differently, like could not have taken different paths to get where we are. So Nay, why don't you start and tell us how you got into the tribe?
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So happy to divulge. So I guess when I was in high school, I liked fashion magazines. I liked anything that had to do with fashion. I worked at a local like clothing boutique, and it was just something I was always interested in. I was big in dress up when I was a kid. Like I don't know, I definitely had that inkling towards it. I'd always been very creative, so it was just something that I kind of was drawn to at a young age. And I decided like my junior or senior year, I knew that I was like, okay, I don't want to go to a regular college and I want to go to a fashion school. So I applied to FIT and I got waitlisted, which was very upsetting to me because I really wanted to go to FIT. And then I also applied to LIM and Marist University. Marist is in somewhere
upstate New York,
I
right?
think it's in Poughkeepsie.
Yeah, right outside the
Which
city.
has a fashion degree, fashion merchandising, and then I also applied to URI, University of Rhode Island. They also had a fashion merchandising degree. But I knew that I wanted to go to New York. I just really wanted to, I was just interested in like living in the city. I grew up in a really small town, so it was just like I wanted to get that New York fashion experience. I was just like super excited about that. And then when I got waitlisted at FIT, I felt like all my hopes and dreams just got thrown out, and I was so devastated.
Aw.
I didn't want yeah, I was really sad
That's so
about it.
sad.
Um and after I got waitlisted there, I was like, I got into both Marist and URI, but I was like, I'm not going there. I don't want to go there. Um, I was like, I just want to wait until FIT tells me if I'm unwaitlisted or not, which they weren't going to tell us until it was something like super late, like maybe late into the summer, like July or something like
Mm.
that. So like before you're supposed to go in for fall semester. So I did apply to LIM and I didn't like it. Like I went and I toured and I was like, I don't like it here, blah, 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 blah. And I don't know why I didn't like it. Maybe just because I was so starstruck by FIT, because anybody who like wants to get into fashion, they either want to go to FITM, which is in the city, or FIT. Those are like the two biggest ones, or Parsons, but Parsons is more of a design school. So I just wanted to go there. That's what
Yeah.
everybody talks about, if you're in the fashion world. So, and I just kind of felt like nobody knew what LIM was and all this, but I ended up getting into LIM and my parents were just like, okay, like FIT is not getting back to you. Like you've got to say that you're going to go to college somewhere. So I just ended up deciding to go to LIM, and I actually don't regret my decision at all. I had an amazing experience there. It's a much smaller school than FIT, and I ended up getting a business degree, and I specialized, or I had a minor in visual merchandising. So I graduated with a business degree that you could get from any business school, just a regular BBA that was um specialized in something in the fashion industry. So that's kind of how I first got my foot in the door in the fashion industry, and LIM was really good at getting you internships. So I'll just like mention some of the internships that I did when I was in college. I uh they have you start working at like a store. So I worked at Guess for like 2 years when I was in college. And then I got an internship at Makeup Forever, which is a makeup brand. I interned at Jimmy Choo. I had an internship with a small online uh it was like a I don't even know how to explain it. It's called Virtually Vegan, and it's like a small online store that like sells clothing that's only vegan. So I did that for a little bit. And then I also interned. What else I did? I thought there was one other one, but maybe not. And then I ended up. They did a lot of career fairs. So my senior year of college, I went to a career fair, and they'd have all of these brands, like all of these brands that you would basically dream of working for if you were in the fashion industry. And I ended up going to the booth that I work for now, the company, and they set me up with an interview, and I happened to just interview with somebody on our team, and I got the job pretty much. I think it was May of my senior year, and they called me and gave me an offer to work in the visual merchandising department of our current company, and it was like my dream came true. I was so happy. I felt like I was like, wow, like it was just, to me, I was like, wow, I reached like the pinnacle of success in my own from my own college journey. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
went to school for what I wanted to, and I got the job out of school. I probably applied to like 100 places, and yeah, and then I accepted the job, and I started literally. I graduated in June, and I started I think at the end of June. So I wasted no time. Don't necessarily recommend that. If you can. I wish I gave myself a little bit more of a time in between, but there's also, if you've got student loans or if you're living somewhere,
Yeah,
like the
life.
city wasn't cheap. So like I needed to start paying for my life. But yeah, so then I started my first day right out of college at a major American fashion brand, and it
Mhm.
was like yeah, it was a Devil Wears Prada pinch me moment for sure.
That's so crazy because obviously I have something so different. So
Yeah.
hearing that you knew what you wanted to do or the area you wanted to be in, and then hearing that whole process is actually kind of crazy because I don't think I've ever heard you walk through every single thing. Like, I don't
Yeah.
it's so crazy because I had none of that. So it's so wild that it's amazing to see when you or hear when you think, "Oh, okay, this is what I wanna do," and then you actually get there. I can definitely
But
see how that'd be a
can I
pinch
just
me.
can I add a note though?
Yeah, of
It's
course.
it's crazy because, when I was 18, I made this decision that this is what I want to do, and I was so excited about it, and I went through the 4 years of school, and then I got the job. Like, I did the dream, right?
Mhm.
And I still, I'm like, is this what I
Yeah.
wanted?
Yeah.
So I just want to throw that in there before we get into like the depths of just the inside look of working at the fashion industry. Even if you think that, and it doesn't even have to be working in fashion, it could be anything. You go to school to be a dental hygienist, you go to school to become a lawyer, and then you make that dream come true, and you end up working wherever you thought, oh my god, like I can't believe I actually got this job, and then you're in it for X amount of years or whatever, and you still don't feel fulfilled. So I just want to put that out there because
Yeah.
it's 100% true that you kind of are like, wow, like, and it almost has a little bit of a different sting to it when you're like, wow, this is what I thought I wanted, and I'm still not fully fulfilled or happy. Like, is
Mhm.
there something wrong with me?
I
You
think it's
know?
also, I mean, not to play devil's advocate, but I think it's also, if we could just make our own working hours and we're say, okay, we're working 5 hours today, 1 hour tomorrow, and that we weren't tied to a schedule, would we feel differently, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes the biggest annoyance about it too, it just in life in general is, okay, I have to go to work. I have to work 8 hours. I have to be here. I have to pay my bill. So I also feel like if I wonder if society kind of flipped the script and wasn't so 40 hours a week in working for someone else, if that would change our attitude towards things. I just thought of that. I was like, I wonder if that would
I
change
think
things.
so. I literally thought about it. I was so funny because I thought about it last night and I was like, wow, I want to live more like a European. Like, I
Totally.
just feel like they enjoy
Totally.
life so much more.
Totally.
That's a whole separate,
Yeah, that's yeah.
but
Um
walk us through your journey in getting into the fashion industry, like how you ended up here.
So mine was by accident.
Yeah.
When I went to college, I did not know what I wanted to do. I know I mentioned on the podcast before. I went to school for communications, public relations after switching my major like 5 times. I've never been the person who, from a young age, knew what they wanted to do. I had no idea. Honestly, anytime anyone asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I just said a mom because that's like what I wanted,
Oh.
like that's what I want to do with my life. I want to be a mom.
Oh my god, that's so cute.
And so for me, whenever someone was like, career-wise, what do you want to do? I just never, I don't know, make money. I don't know, no idea. So I went to school for communications, public relations. And after I graduated college, I moved back home to Long Island, where I've been since. And, reality set in. I graduated in May and my student loans were starting in November. So for me, I was in this mindset of, I just need to make money. I don't know. I think I applied, my Excel sheet was over 150 jobs, right?
Same. Yeah, I made this Excel sheet and I would
You
just
had to
copy and
keep track
paste
of it.
because
Yeah,
I
because it was
would
a
note.
lot.
Yeah, I would like make notes. I remember me and Audrey, we were living together and we were both doing the same thing, like trying to get our jobs before we graduated because it was like this crazy
Yeah.
pressure
Yeah.
to, yeah.
And especially when I graduated college, it was just a different economy state too, and it was just really hard to get a
What
job.
year was it?
2013.
You graduated college,
Mhm.
okay.
So it was just really hard to get a job, and so I was just worried because I knew my parents aren't gonna pay my loans, I had to pay my loans. So I'm
Yeah.
applying for jobs. I ended up getting this marketing job at a production company on Long Island, and
Oh, it was
essentially it was
marketing.
marketing. I started in marketing and
Interesting.
social media. Um Yeah, it's crazy. And it was they're still a business, but it was a business that essentially made um physical things for stores, for brands. So they made risers, they made window displays, they, printed signs for the store. So it was a company that did stuff for retail stores to put in their stores. And like I said, it started off in marketing. My hours were 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. because that's what time my boss came in because she liked to work later. So it's just like overall, just like a
What?
very, yeah, it was like a very, I was hired for something I didn't go to school in. It was just a very weird um job. And I honestly, not to toot my own horn, but I think the only reason I got that job was because I met with the CEO, and I think he just liked me. Like, he just enjoyed my personality, I guess. I don't know why. I was there for 3 years and I hated it. Well, I didn't hate it. That's a little dramatic, but I was just like, I don't want to be at a small company
You're
anymore.
there for
Because
3 years.
yeah, I was
Okay.
there for 3 years.
Should we share, and you can totally say no, but should we share what our salaries were when we started? Or is
Yeah,
that
what? I don't even know if I know what my
because I'm
salary
interested what
was
you started at.
at the original company.
Yeah.
I think it was like 40,000
That's what I was thinking.
ish.
So crazy.
I think it was like 40,000. I mean, it was not a lot for everything I had to pay for, but I also was living at home, so I didn't really have a lot of crazy expenses. But I was there for 3 years, and then it was just, like I said, a smaller company. And after being there for 3 years, I was like, I just want to be a part of something bigger, a bigger company. And so I started looking for jobs, and I applied to a job at our current company and somehow got the job.
Where did you see the job? Like, where did you get
I
the
think I saw it on, I don't even think LinkedIn was like as bumpin' as it is now. I think it was LinkedIn, but it could have been Indeed. It could have
Okay.
been something super, super minute. And I had an interview at our current company, and then I had an interview at a different company. Something along the lines of like what I was doing at this job now. So production, producing, almost like project management. Because I didn't mention it, but I started in marketing and moved to project management at my first job.
Oh, okay, okay. Because I was like, I didn't
Yeah.
realize that you did more. Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I think I did marketing for 4 months, and then I moved into project management. I think it's just because I'm very good at telling people what to do. It's something I'm a little bossy, I guess. So it just kind of fell in my
You're
personality.
just an Aries.
Yeah, we gotta hustle. So I ended up applying to the job, but what's crazy at our current company, is that when I applied, there were also 500 other applicants. 500. She told me
Yeah.
that the hiring manager told me, and so somehow
Did
I
you
got the
feel
job.
special? Yeah.
I was kind of surprised, but I also think it's because of like the history I had. It really fell specifically in
Yeah.
that job. And
Yeah.
the position that I have now, that I've had for 7, almost 8 years, was the first person in this position. So I'm the only person to hold this position for the past almost 8 years. Um, so I honestly fell into it by accident. I wasn't trying to get into it. I just saw the posting and I was like, oh, this kind of relates to what I'm doing now. Let me just try. Had literally like 10 interviews. 10 interviews. I think I started applying in November and I didn't start until February. It took a
Mhm.
minute. But yeah, it's something I fell into. So whenever anyone asks me like, "Oh, how'd you get into it?" I always say by accident, because it really was by accident. I had no
Yeah.
schooling in fashion. I had no idea what, even visual merchandising was, which a lot of people probably don't, but I had no idea. Um so it's funny, I guess bottom line between Renee and I's story is you just don't know how your path's going to shake out, and there is no right or wrong way to do something, because Renee and I took 2 totally different paths, and we are at the same place. We're on the same team. We don't do the same things, but we both are there. So I think also, just if you're interested in, or
And
for honestly any job,
Brianne's more of a boss than I am, so
I'm a little higher up than Renee. That is
a little.
few levels higher than Renee. But that's also like, I don't know.
There
It
was
is
a
what
point
it is.
okay, there was a point when both Brianne and I were at the
The
same
same
level.
level, yeah.
I just happened to leave and come back at the same level, which
Right.
is
It's just fine.
totally fine. Actually, I'm okay, but it is funny because I sometimes am like, Brianne, how do you feel being friends with the intern? Like,
Yeah. Like, if there was of team meetings, like like senior leadership and then everyone else, Renee and I would not be in the same meeting. Like, I would be
I'm
in
not invited to those meetings.
we'd be in 2 separate meetings. So, but again, it's you never know what your path's gonna shake out. And just because on a piece of paper you may have experience like Renee or have no experience like me, There are so many things that go
You can
into an interview.
you can get higher than the
Yeah.
person that does, so don't
Yeah.
worry.
Yeah, so don't fret. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no if you do X, Y, and Z, you're gonna make it here. That's not how life works. It's your personality. There's so much that goes into it. So for anyone who's frazzled, don't be frazzled. Just apply to the job because you don't know. You literally have
Yeah,
no idea.
yeah.
Something interesting that comes up a lot is it like Devil Wears Prada?
Oh, yeah.
And Renee's watched Devil Wears Prada like probably
10 times.
10 times. I've seen it maybe once or twice. So what would you say, Renee? Would you say working in the fashion industry, retail industry is like the movie?
I mean, the thing is that The Devil Wears Prada is a dramatization
Mhm.
of working in the fashion industry, and it's also a depiction of working in, like, editorial portion of the fashion
True.
industry. So, and it's based in the early 2000s, and magazines and editorial fashion has taken a very big
I
change.
would have no idea. Like, it's funny because, like, obviously you know that because
You
I
didn't know
feel
that was so it's kind of like
no.
it's to me, so the fictitious magazine that they work for at the Devil Wears Prada is in the Devil Wears Prada. I don't know what I'm saying. Is Runway, and I think it's supposed to be like Vogue,
Right.
and uh it's supposed to be like Anna Wintour, maybe, that they've like
Yeah.
because she's the editor in chief of Vogue. But I don't know. I don't know. So I can't really say if it as far because I've never worked in editorial. I have heard about other people that I went to school with that they did internships in editorial brands. And they do, I know for sure they pay you nothing.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a cutthroat kind of vibe. I would say working at our company, there are
Similarities.
certain similarities, but at the same time, I think just I don't think it's as glitz and glammy as the movie makes
I
it
would
seem.
agree. I think that's a big misconception is people think doing what we do or working where we work for honestly any big brand is
Yeah.
this amazing thing and you love your life every day
And
and
people are like dressed really super. I mean, there definitely are people who dress very fashionably. I don't want to say that everybody like, but I don't think it's as intense, at least at our company.
no, because I also think there's so full disclosure, and I know this is like a little veering, but I don't look cute. I don't think I look ugly. I don't look fashion forward. I don't spend $1 billion on how I look every single day. There are some time in some situations where you can get money reimbursed into your check and buy clothes from the brand. And that's called like wardrobing. So some people in their contracts do have wardrobing. And if you want to, depending on your division, you could probably fight to get wardrobing money added to your check. And then that money is, you still have to pay taxes on it, but like that money is to go to buying X amount of clothes from the brand to like represent the brand, but not everyone gets that. So it's also like think about if you're starting very low, no, if you're starting where Renee is or was,
Is
that is, I mean, even for me, like you don't have a lot of money to be throwing towards all these clothes and to look top notch every single day. So I think that's a big misconception. I'm sure they would like us to wear the clothing all the time, and we do both own stuff clothing wise, but my whole entire wardrobe is not the brand.
no. That
Probably
would
should be, but it's not.
no, I don't. Um so no, I think that there are some similar things to it, but I would not say that it's as I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not as intense as the movie. But there are a lot of personalities.
There's
So
a lot of personalities and there's a
that's
lot of politics that go
for sure.
into this
For sure.
industry. I'm sure there are politics in every industry, but I think when you're in a creative space such as Renee and I, everyone and their great grandma has an opinion on everything.
Mhm.
And your ranking, your political association with other people in that company matters.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, and it's also interesting, at least from my perspective, like working from home fully, you kind of have a little bit more of a, you're not as, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I'm kind of behind the scenes almost in a way with
mhm,
working from home. So I think that can have an impact too in this industry because I'm not there creating as many connections, which I think that
right.
might be like where you work anywhere, but just because I from the fact that I'm not seen, you know?
Right, right. She's this mythical creature behind the scenes who's just
Yeah, just
cranking out
like
her work.
doing my job. Um but yeah, I mean we've got some pros and cons that
Yeah,
we've
we
listed
do.
out about the working in the fashion industry. So I don't know if we want to start maybe on a negative note and end in a positive.
Yeah, let's do that. And again, this is for anyone who's interested, and this is just Renee and I's personal propaganda. I don't It's not propaganda, but it's just personal
Propaganda.
our personal diary
Right.
suggestions.
Yeah,
Like,
so
this
don't
is
yeah, it's just us talking like from a personal level. So everybody's like situation is very
it's
different.
different. And their experiences are totally different, right? The team that you're on, and I also will say I think one of the biggest flaws before we go into the first con, or something that I was really blindsided if you don't study fashion, I had no idea how many different departments there were in one company. I had
Oh
no
yeah,
idea.
it's
I
crazy.
mean, you could be it's crazy because it's like every type of job that you possibly could think could relate to the fashion industry. I'm sure there's a job for it. It's a big machine, big, big, big. Okay, first on our list for a con is the grand scheme.
Can you elaborate on that? Because
Yeah, I sure will. I sure will. Retail is not life or death.
oh
Okay,
yeah,
but sometimes in this industry, people think it is.
it's giving like we're doing like rocket science or something, and
Yeah,
it's really not.
it's not. We're not saving lives. We are not ending world hunger. We're not a Nobel Peace Prize. And I think specifically this is for Renee and I's team. It sounds really petty, but the color or the shade of blue, that does matter. And to a lot of people, it matters a lot. Um, you can't perform open heart surgery with the color blue. So I guess for me, it's just more so the grand scheme of things. Like,
Yeah,
the stuff
it
that we get hyped up about does not really matter.
and I will say it can feel a little. It does feel a little superficial to me
Hmm.
sometimes, and I think about and I'm like, like at least for me personally, and I'm sure maybe other people that work in the fashion industry feel differently, but I don't really know how much value we're adding to the world. And
Minimal.
that does get me
Yeah.
sometimes. But there is a part in The Devil Wears Prada where um she says something about like, oh, she calls Andy. She's the one that's like working in the fashion industry, and she's somebody that just kind of like falls into it because she wants to get into journalism.
Hmm.
And she's just makes a point or says like something about like, well, this stuff. And what's her name in the movie?
So you're asking the wrong person.
Fudge.
Annette?
No, I'm blanking. And I'm
Oh.
blanking on her real name. Hold on. Um wow, I cannot believe Meryl Streep. I kept on wanting to
Mm.
say Martha Stewart. But
Close.
Oh yeah, Miranda Priestley. Oh my god. So she goes on to this kind of rant about she's like this stuff is, and she just goes through like she's like, the reason why you're wearing that blue is because it was on the runway, and it's whoever, like Marc Jacobs designed this, and the reason why, like, so she was like showing the trickle down effect about how something goes from on the runway, and it was like some designer's creative mind came up with that's going to be the seasonal color, and it falls all the way down to JC Penny, and that's why she's wearing that color. It was just a really interesting part, and it shows how, again, like, we're not doing anything so life altering, but there are people in the industry that are like, no, this stuff is a lot more than what you think it is. you
Yeah.
know, and it's so I don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely it's giving stress surface level for no real reason.
At least in our opinion, you
Agreed,
know,
agreed.
but the thing is that when you're working in it, you kinda have to put on an act that
Mhm,
it is that
mhm,
important because it's
mhm,
your job, you
mhm.
know? So it does to me sometimes. I do have negative feelings when working in something that's so superficial.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
I'm
even
grateful for my job. If you're my boss or anybody, please don't. Scared.
No, it is because even, this past week, I had things happening overnight and I had work being done to the stores, and after I saw completion photos from the vendor, I was like, "Oh, no, this isn't good." And they're like, "Well," like, he literally verbatim goes to me, he's like, "Well, I don't really think anyone's gonna notice." I'm like, "Yeah, but I notice, and if I notice, that means everyone's gonna notice." So the 2 inches that it has to be moved to the left, like, you have to move it. So it when you are in it, it sounds really petty, but at least being at the level Renee and I are at, you gotta be that gateway to make sure that that little stuff doesn't go unnoticed because it does respectfully, it does matter.
You have to
Um,
be like hyperly detail.
hyper, 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 hyper.
If you do want to work in the fashion industry, I will say like you need to be detail oriented and care about the details.
Yeah,
And if you don't, then it will instantly show.
yeah.
It's wild.
So much to the fact that if I'm out randomly on a weekend or whatever and I pass one of our stores and I see something that looks off, I have to go in and I have to be like, "Hey guys, X, Y, and Z, like, is there any way you can just fix that in the window? It just looks a little wrong." Like I do just you it's almost like a 24/7 thing. Okay, anyway, next on our list is, oh, do I say it?
I was because you kind of okay, yeah, go. That's
I
okay.
was gonna say it's a little clicky.
I don't
Fashion
think
is a
that
little clicky.
I think it's completely okay to say.
It's a little
It's the
clicky.
truth. Like we're giving the truth. Like the
Yeah,
truth.
it's a little clicky.
And I've heard I definitely heard that it's like that not just at
Agreed.
our company.
I think
So
it's everywhere.
I think it's a thing. And I'm sure it's in a thing in any big corporate company. I'm sure you're going to get that, but I think there is something interesting about the
Mhm.
fashion vibe.
Once you sip the Kool-Aid, you're a part of the clique.
It's giving click and
Yeah, it's giving sometimes a little mean girl, but it's clicky, and I think that's it. It's clicky.
we can just leave it at
Let's
that.
just leave it at that.
I'm not involved because again, I work from home, so I feel as though
In your own clique.
I'm in my own clique. It's fine.
Okay, next one on our list. Hit them, Nay.
Shallow.
I think we kind of talked about that, but yeah,
A little
it's
bit too. I think just it can feel shallow. It's very surface level. I think sometimes, the way you dress and the way you look, it
it
still is something
matters.
that like comes
Yeah.
up that I don't necessarily like. But again, it's just that I definitely do remember when I was working in the office, there are certain people that you may see or may work with, and they will give you the eyes
Mhm.
that Miranda Priestley has done in Devil Wears Prada. If you know what I'm talking about, they kind of look at what you're wearing from your neck to your toes, and you
Yeah.
can kind of tell that they're looking at what you're wearing.
Mhm. I have a
So it's
story and
really just
I'm like tempted to tell the story. I'm going to tell it. When I
mm,
was interviewing at our company, and after I got the feedback from the first interview, the hiring manager goes, "Oh, they love you." I'm sure I could find the email if I pulled it up because I'm sure I still have it. They were like,
okay.
"Oh, they loved you." But the only feedback was just like, this isn't really, I think I was wearing like a skirt and just like like a blouse top because I don't know, it's what we're told to wear to interviews, right? Just like look like a pencil skirt, like whatever. And the hiring manager was like, or the HR recruiter, she goes, that we're just like not really the pencil skirt type of people. I think they want to see you
What?
more in like a dress and snakeskin sneakers.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, "Oh,
Like
okay.
basically she was telling you like don't dress like more
Don't
fashion
be better."
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like don't wear what you're wearing. more or less.
I mean,
And I
there's definitely
remember, I don't know. I remember telling my mom and everyone, and they were like, "Well, if that's like the only feedback they have, you really can't. I guess it could be worse." I'm like, "Yeah, it could be worse," but I was just like, I don't know. I'm not. I never went. I didn't go to fashion school, so I'm just wearing something that my boobies aren't hanging out. Like just.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I don't know if I can like pinpoint certain times, but I do know that there have just been times about comments of
Mm-hmm.
you just have to
Take
you
it with a grain of salt. Take it with a grain of
yeah,
salt.
and I just oh
That's all you can do is take it with a grain of salt.
it's
Because
gotten better though, because again, like I'm not in the office. When I go every time I when I so I do have to go to the office and I'm going in a couple weeks and it takes me a minute to make sure I'm bringing I still like, think of my clothes and think of what I want to wear to the office. And I'm like, okay, just don't want to look a certain way or
I think it's the era that you and I were hired into is not that same era anymore. It's not.
yeah,
It's
maybe
not
it's a
like
little bit
that.
better.
And I think our team has changed a lot. So I don't think it's like that anymore from my perspective.
Yeah.
Um we just were hired, and I always say it at work.
God, when we started though,
We
it
were
was
just hired in a different time. There were so many other people involved. It was just a different time. So it's a lot different now, but I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it's
it
the same.
really I would say when we were first working together there, it was definitely closer to the Devil Wears
Yeah,
Prada kind
agreed.
of vibe.
Agreed. For sure.
Like it
For
was
sure.
very yeah, it was that so that was I started working there in 2019. No. No. I
2018, I
started
think.
working in 2017. 2017.
You did?
'Cause I graduated college in 2017.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it was 20. I worked at our office from 2017 to 2019. So I moved to Florida in 2019. And then I came back in 2021.
22. Or
No, beginning of
no,
2022.
2022.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beginning of 2022.
Yeah. Okay, next on our list is I think this goes for any retail, but it's very unpredictable. It's very cutthroat. Unfortunately, full disclosure, your promotions, your increases, your quote unquote, if you get bonuses, that depends on business. So if business blows, you
And
ain't getting nothing.
retail is blowing right now, I would say. So
Right.
it's definitely I
You're not
mean,
getting anything.
I
Maybe
would
a high
say
five.
the fashion industry does kind of follow the economic
Mm-hmm.
cycle of the current state of our country. So if our economy is not doing great, then people aren't going to be shopping for have that extra disposable income. So it
Yeah.
does take a pretty hard
Steep
hit.
hit. Yeah.
And it's really competitive. There's a
Mhm.
lot of competitive brands out there. There's a lot of, fast fashion brands that are coming out that you can just buy stuff on Amazon. So some of these more known fashion houses that have been around for 20 plus 30 years or whatever started in the early 2000s or earlier than that. I mean, they're struggle. It's a
Yeah,
struggle.
it's hard.
So
It's hard. So obviously every industry has its pros and cons, but when you're directly related to how much extra money people have and they don't have it, it's tough. And during those tough times, like we've been through quite a few of those times already, it's tensions are high. So it's definitely a tense business to get into. Whew, this one hits home. The next one.
yeah, so I think also, and again, this could be in in any industry, but we've felt it in our personal industry is it's hard to promote up. And I've seen it
Mhm.
with friends too, where they had been in the same position from when, and look at me.
Right?
Like, I mean, again, I did I leave for 3 years? I think I was gone. I
Around.
didn't work here for 3 years and came back. So, and I'm still in the same position, which is fine. Again, it's
Right.
completely fine, and I work from home, so that's an amazing bonus. But it can be really hard to promote up in certain positions.
Yeah.
A lot of times people are in, like, let's say your boss and your boss's boss and your boss's boss, like they have been in that position for a while, and they don't always open up new positions for you to be able to get to the next level.
Correct.
So it can be really hard to get to that next step unless something shifts around and positions are moved or people leave.
Yeah.
So that can be a really difficult situation because if you're just relying on your standard increase every year, you're not going to see a ton of growth.
No.
Um
No.
So sometimes I think what does happen is people who were kind of low on that totem pole end up shifting to other companies
Yeah.
to make that promotion. So it's just something to keep in mind from what I've seen and what I know and what I live, is
Yeah,
that you're
no, I
kind
agree.
of in that position. I mean, you got lucky because you definitely, I mean, you worked for your position. You've been at our company for a while,
Mhm.
but certain things shifted and opened. And if
Yep.
that didn't happen, then,
Yep.
you maybe wouldn't be where you are.
Agreed. It's
So,
literally, it sounds really weird to say, but it's almost like if you're okay with your job and you like where you're at, you have to it's kind of like a waiting game
yeah.
for something to shift or to when you restructure, you're a part of a restructure, that's kind of where you make your money or you jump. So it's honestly it's almost like just being patient too, and kind of it's hard. It is hard because if no one's moving up, you can't really move up. So,
Yeah.
and that's hard for some people, and it's it's frustrating for sure.
And that's what happens when you work for a company that's very like in a
Yeah.
hierarchy kind of
Yeah.
situation. And I think you'll find that in a lot of really big businesses where there's a really it's an interesting hierarchy, and they'll be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, well, she's only been in the position for 2 years. Like she needs to be," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they kind of rely on that a little bit, which I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I
think it can
agree.
be I think it can be an interesting vibe, but
But on the plus side, on
yeah,
the
let's talk
pros,
some
let's so it's
pros
pros
because we have been complaining.
for a very long time now. But
Yeah.
no, there are some really cool pros, a lot of cool things that happen being in the fashion retail industry. Number one is bigger companies does mean potential growth. So even though we were just saying, it's hard to move up, and like we kind of said before, everything's so unpredictable. You don't know how things are going to turn out for your company. You don't know what's going to shake in terms of how businesses, mergers, acquisitions, whatever the case may be. So there is always potential for growth because it changes so fast. And for that, it's a really exciting pro. And for the worker bees like Renee and I, it's a really exciting, opportunity when things do shift or change because it is potential growth. So that's
And
a
if
pro.
you like share that and you put that out there, or you feel trusted with the hiring manager or your HR office or your boss, and you just discuss like what your hopes and dreams are, like most times anytime, at least for me, I've always felt very supported with who I directly report to.
Yeah.
And I've always felt like I could like go to them and be like, "Hey, like I kind of want to like shift into more graphic design. I don't want to do that, but like if I did, like or if you do, you can have that connection where you can like shift into different roles."
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Agreed.
there's open to like go to different departments inside of your company, which is nice.
Yeah. Very cool. Next on the list is making connections. This I feel like is really I think this probably applies to a lot of different industries, but specifically in fashion, it's a big industry, but it's really not that big. So
No.
people jump from company to company all the time, and you end up making these connections, and you never know where the connections are going to take you in terms of like obviously just your day-to-day peers. So that's always really cool. And then you hypothetically you jump to a different job and you see, oh, your old friend from this department is hiring that position. Like there's just a lot of connections that could be made, which is obviously really great for your growth. So I would definitely say that's a huge um perk and like pro.
Yeah, I will say, like, when I was in college, one of the things that our professors always said to us, because a lot of them worked within the fashion industry, is they said that the impression that you make is so important because you don't know where those other people go in the fashion industry because it is such a small
Yeah.
pocket. And a lot of it, if you're going to be working for an American brand, or even if not, if you're not going to be working for an American brand, a lot of these offices are in New York. And it's just a very big city, but small at the same time. So it's that the 7 degrees of separation where like one person and they like know another person and they know you, and so you just kind of always want to be sure to be on your P's and Q's and don't leave a bad impression on somebody and then it can come back around. Like karma's gonna
Agreed.
get you. So it's just something that you always just want to make sure you have like your best foot forward. And
Yeah.
that's in anything, but it's just something that can definitely come up in this smaller
It's like a high
smaller
school almost. It gives high school vibes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
interesting.
crazy. This one's pretty obvious, but the perks, right? So Renee and I get discounts across the board. We have very generous time off. We have a very generous, you know, holiday schedule.
Yeah.
We, I think I just said benefits. Like we actually just have fertility. Like there's a lot of
They do give really
really
good.
good benefits.
I think the maternity leave is really good too
Yeah,
for based on an American standard.
yeah,
I don't remember what it is, but I know it's long. It's not like 6 weeks. It's like long. It's
yeah.
very good for American companies. So and they're very like diversity is very much like a huge thing that
Mm-hmm.
they find important in our company, and just different things that are, I don't know, they do like different things that are really like kind of inclusive that
I
I
was just
like,
about to say that. Yeah, it's
you
almost
know?
like there's a club for I don't want to say club for everything, but they really do a great job of highlighting every type of everyone and making us all feel like a family in that aspect. I definitely
Yeah, there's
think.
something very, I don't know, it's nice about it. And
Yeah.
I think it's something within like the fashion industry. It kind of, I don't know, it has like a really good, I think they know to like make up for things like with
Yeah,
this.
it's again, it's like it's almost like when you're in a really stressful environment and then on the flip side you have what you feel is just like a really great support system regardless of who you are as a person or your background and
Yeah.
you just always feel supported in that aspect. That's just really great. So we would definitely say that's a huge pro for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure. Are there any yeah, I mean discounts. I think that's like kind
Oh, well,
of
I also you learn a lot of different skills when working in the fashion industry. So,
huge.
it's an interesting mesh of worlds because it's very business. You
Mhm.
can be on a super business side, it's financial, it's um just making business decisions, but then there's also this creative side too. So it's really an interesting mesh of worlds. So, and there's marketing and there's social
You learn
media.
so
So there's so
much.
many different things that kind of like go into this one big pot.
Yeah.
Um so that, I feel like that's like once you're in an industry like this, you can kind of walk away with a lot of different uh work skills that you can, it's very transferable. So if
Yeah.
you did want to transfer into something else and maybe you weren't interested in the fashion industry anymore, you're still very like set up for other
Mhm.
departments, hospitality. Like there's just so many different things. Like if you wanted to get into interior design or um I don't know, just it's very transferable. So that's good.
It is really transferable, and that actually kind of brings us to our tips for surviving this industry. And I'm going to piggyback off that one right now and say take notes on everything because of what Renee said. Everything is transferable. You know, you're in marketing hypothetically, and you're talking to someone from finance, and they tell you a process about finance. Take notes on that. Take notes on the connections you make between departments because you never know when you're gonna, like Renee said, need that transferable information, and it just kind of makes you more equipped in your toolbox. So I would definitely say for
Yeah.
our first tip for surviving, take notes on everything and take that information for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, agreed.
Like,
Oh, you want me to? Okay.
yeah, hit the next one.
So this one is and this is good for anything. It does not even just working in our in the fashion industry or work in general, but approach your email in a nice tone. So when you're writing an email, it is surprising sometimes, and I know people are busy, but the emails that I get, I'm like, ow. They just
Yeah.
really, and I get it, but at the same time, like I always like to try to, when I email, just take the extra second to add in the happy Friday or happy Monday or throw in a smiley face or, thank you for your time. I appreciate the feedback. Like just add in those nice little things that I think it really, and mean it genuinely, and I think it really does shine through because I always feel a little bit, I get a different vibe when I get an email from somebody and they're like, "Happy Friday, like thank you so much for taking the time with this. Like I appreciate this." And then they give you feedback or whatever it is, and it just, it's those little extra things that go a lot further, and you want
Yeah.
to be known as somebody that's a little bit more approachable and nice. Like, you do want to be known as that because people want to work with somebody who's nice. Like, it comes down to really basic things, and again, like, that gets you to go further because people don't
Agreed.
like to keep around people who are mean or having a bad
No.
attitude. It's just
No.
not fun. It's not fun to be around those
No
people.
one's having a good time with that.
No.
Okay, next one is expect nothing from anyone. I think one of the biggest things that we've learned, or I've learned personally, is when you're starting something or when you're starting in your job, sometimes you're not going to get what I think you think you're going to get in terms of a hiring manager or whatever the case may be. So my suggestion would just be to take everything with, like, how do I explain this in the normal way? Just don't expect anyone to hand you something on a silver platter. Use your
Yeah.
resources, reach out and make connections, and really try to figure out how to make, quote unquote, your buffet on your own. Not saying that would always happen, but I think sometimes, especially in this industry, we're so slammed and busy and we're moving a million miles per minute that a lot of people will unintentionally fail because they're not given the tools they need. But I think if you just think outside the box and be like, okay, I'm not going to get this tool I need right now. I may get it in a week from now, but like, how do I get what I need? And really just try to market yourself and like make connections to help push your job along, I think is really
Yeah, I think
good to know.
it's I agree with that, and I think it's also fuck, what was I gonna say?
Now we're gonna have to mark this as explicit, Renee. Just kidding.
I just cracked my neck. I was gonna say, because you said, okay, wait, hold on. Expect nothing from anyone. What was I gonna say? It was something good. It was a good point.
I don't
It wasn't
know.
good enough.
Yeah, she didn't stick in the noggin.
Sorry, go to the next one. Maybe
Okay,
I'll
the next
think of
one
it.
is make yourself irreplaceable. This one I think kind of goes hand in hand, but really not saying you have to make yourself irreplaceable. I just think that's somehow you put yourself in a good position when you're almost like the go-to person and you're kind of have an answer for everything or know something silly like, oh yeah, they actually keep the marketing pamphlets on the third drawer next to the microwave for some reason. Just like silly things like that sometimes.
Yeah.
It also kind of makes you feel good when you're remembering silly little things, and it kind of again makes yourself a little bit more standoutish. Like, oh, let's go to Renee. She knows everything. And then it just kind of trickles from there. So I just think that's like something fun, and maybe not fun, but just a little
Right. And
suggestion.
it can be like, and you can make yourself be the person that knows something about it doesn't
Everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't, but it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be like, it can just be like something small. Like,
Agreed.
oh, she's really good at doing this certain thing on Photoshop,
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, wow, I really want to remember what I was gonna say.
I'm so sorry. I don't know how to help
I
you.
hate when that happens. It
Yeah,
like
that's
drives me insane.
really
It just
terrible.
like was in there, and I think it's because sometimes it happens so intensely on the podcast because I'm listening to what you're saying. But
Active
then
listening.
in the backside, I'm like, oh, remember that you want to say this.
Mm.
So it's hard to do. You know what I
Do you,
mean?
maybe I'll say the last one while you think about it. Do you want me to do that?
I think it's gone. Like, it's really
Oh,
gone.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. You can say the last one though.
Okay, the last one is, and this one is like huge, but be nice to everyone, like Renee said, and remember to smile.
Yeah.
Just be friendly, be approachable. Sometimes when things are really stressful, it's so easy just to be a demon in the sand. I don't know what that means, but just be nice. Just be
Yeah. It's a
nice.
smile goes a long way. I've actually been, I, I've been smiling at people out in the world, and I never
Is it
used
because
to
you have
do that.
your Invisalign? So you feel more confident?
No, I
Oh.
feel actually, I think my smile looks really awkward when I have my
Oh.
Invisalign in, but no, I just like when I'm out like on my runs or like walking my dog and I pass somebody, like you just give them a smile. Like,
Yeah.
hi. It
Yeah.
really it kind of it does make a difference.
Yeah.
It reminds me though of like when like that like weird thing that guys do, like they'll be like smile, sweetheart, like on the street or
No.
something, and I'm like, ew, shut the up, you're disgusting.
No one ever tells me to do that.
I
Maybe
got
I'm
it
just more
once.
unapproachable. I think I'm just
No,
more
like
unapproachable.
one time I had to go to, it was the only UPS that was open, and it was on the Miami, like the Miami
Campus?
University
Yeah.
campus. So I like went back to college for 20 minutes. I was like literally in the campus, and there were these two college kids, like these guys, and he said something like, it would help if you smiled. And
Oh, I don't like when people say that.
I was like, I'm
Don't
waiting
tell
for
me what
my
to do.
boyfriend. I'm trying to get out of here.
I
I
would be
was
like, don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, like, I felt like I was about to get invited to a frat party. I was like, "I respectfully need to leave." I feel so weird.
Excuse me, I have to go home now, but thank you anyway.
Oh my god.
And let's end the ep on your oracle cards.
My little mindful affirmations. Yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed that little ranty chat about the fashion industry.
I just wish someone told me this when I started interviewing, and I don't know, sometimes it's cool to know the details.
Ooh, I
Okay.
love this one.
Okay.
This is a good one. Okay, so today I will take one step in the right direction. So this is actually
Snaps.
snaps. This is something that I won't go too deep into it right now, but we could definitely talk about it at a different time. But this is something I've been actually journaling a lot about, is that 1% change for better you can do every day. I think we get lost in the sauce a little bit sometimes on if you're working towards a project or, you know, a goal that you have or something where it's like you want to get it all done right away, or you just like really get so deep into something. But if you step back a little bit and realize, okay, I can just do one thing, one small thing, and instead of getting super overwhelmed, if I just do a little bit towards that one goal each day, see where you're going to be in 365 days from doing that 1% change each day, or 1% taking it just that next step. It's such a good mindset to keep you on that on a good mindset when you're working towards something, or if you feel like you need to be better about something. It's a really good mindset to have, because I can get overwhelmed when I want to do something or I want to get something done, or I feel like I'm in a rut. I get really overwhelmed, but then when I remind myself that all I have to do is one little thing, it really helps, because one thing is better than doing nothing, you know? Or trying to get it all done, because it just doesn't work like that. So
There we
it's a good
go.
one.
There we go, friends. Let's end it on that note. I have nothing to say to that. That was fantastic.
Thanks, Brianne.
Lovely. Hope you guys take something from this. Hope you have a fulfilled and fruitful week. We love you, and we will talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, that was so cute.
Thanks. I have to burp.
Okay. Are we still recording?